Hi everybody, and thanks for coming back. Today we'll be making a potion bottle. This one I did about 2 weeks ago, and I used polymer clay and elmer's glue and a little bit of food coloring for the inside. This is an old bottle, and I have resin on the inside with some glitter hearts. This one I did a couple of days ago, and is the message in the bottle one, and I'll talk more about that later. And this one I did a couple of weeks ago also, and also used the elmer's glue on the inside of that with some food coloring. This is an old bottle that I need to complete, and I've already started today by adding some polymer clay flowers on the outside. Okay, so for the bottle today I'll be using this pink clay. It's polymer clay, and if you've ever used polymer clay before, you know that you need to condition it. So I've conditioned the clay and rolled it out. And what I'm doing is trying to roll it out long enough that it'll cover the bottle completely. Okay, so let's see. Alright, just a little bit more. Whenever working with clay, try and use maybe a board or a mat. Don't use a flyer like I'm using. It will pick up the ink. Alright, so let's see. Okay, that's just about right. Okay. So now what I'll do is create a seam by using my X-Acto knife. I'll just cut down where the two pieces meet together. Okay, remove the excess. And there's a little bit of clay underneath here that I need to remove also. Okay. So now what I'll do is just go ahead and remove the excess clay from the bottom. And I'm just trimming, just using the bottom of the bottle to guide the blade across. You don't have to do it this way. You can actually cut above it if you don't want to go down this far. And now what I'm going to do is just take the excess off the top. And I'm just pressing the blade against the clay along the neck of the bottle to get a straight line. Remove that. Okay, so now I need to take clay off the bottle. And what I'll do now is use this transfer medium. It's for polymer clay, and it acts as a glue. You can use it for gluing different clay objects together. You can use it for transfer. You can transfer images onto clay with it. But I'll get into that at a later date. Today we're just using it for glue. And I'm just using my brush. Normally I wouldn't dip it into the container. I'll pour some out, but I was kind of watching TV while I was doing this and didn't want to move. Making sure I get all the edges. Extra little piece of clay. Okay, so now that should do it. So I'll just take the bottle and wrap the clay around it. And I'm being very gentle because I don't want to put any tears or fingerprints. or nicks in the clay. I've noticed I had a little piece of clay that chipped off, so I'll just replace that with this piece. And so now I'll just take my X-Acto knife and just use the back of the knife and press against the seam. And this is just the start of me binding it together so it'll be seamless. Again, while doing this, just be really gentle with the clay. And I'm just going around the top, the neck of it, because it's still a little bit big around the neck area because it sinks in. So I'll just use a little bit more transfer medium inside the clay around the neck to hold it down. And now I'm just using the back of the paintbrush to press it into place. Okay, now I'm just using the back of the brush to smooth the seam out some more. And you just roll it. And that's me rolling it in a different direction. And another thing that you could do to help this part is to apply some more transfer medium, and that'll help smooth it out. Okay, it's just about there. Okay, so I'm starting to like how it's looking. And actually, this is my second time doing a bottle like this. The first bottle I showed at the beginning of the video is the first time that I used clay in one of the potion bottles. And this will be my second bottle. And I'm going to use these little cookie cutter punches. I think I might have found them on Etsy or eBay. And this is a heart one, and I'm just going to punch little hearts in it. And what you do is just press down and wiggle the punch a little bit. Okay, there you can see the shape of the heart. And I'll use my X-Acto knife again to lift the heart off. And if there's any part of the heart that didn't get cut, I'll go ahead and use the blade to cut that too. Okay, that's my first heart. And I'll use that heart later. And just remove whatever is left behind. Okay. Let's see. So I'll go here. And you can also move it from left to right, you know, just up and down, back, forth to help make it cut. And just remove the heart. And I'm just cleaning it. Yeah, I kind of speeded things up so you can see exactly what I was doing. It took a long time, so I'll just breeze through it real quick. But you get the idea. Okay. And these are the hearts that I'll use later. And I'm just going to use my stamp and stamp the hearts to give it some texture. Okay, I took a small break and I'm back. And I decided to use the same stamp on the bottle. And it's a script stamp, and I just rolled it on there. And I really like the way that turned out. Oops, butterfingers. Okay, so these are the hearts that came, that I cut from the clay. And I'll just use these on the other bottle. And it's just me showing you how I stamp the heart. And this is from the bottle that I showed you at the beginning. I just used some blue polymer clay and a flower punch. And I punched some flowers out of the clay and attached them to a bottle. And this is my message in a bottle charm. And I just took some sand that I picked up at Michael's. And I used some paper. Actually, I used some paper from an album. The paper that covers the album is really stained, and I liked the way it looked because it looked old. And I took my same stamp, added some ink, and pressed it on there. And then I rolled it to where you could actually see the stamp, the script, and tied a little knot with some string, some red string. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and add some mica powders, and I'll be using my transfer medium again. You really don't need it to put the mica powders onto the clay when it's raw like this, but I wanted to add a lot of color. It gives it more of a satin finish, and I really wanted it to show. So I'm going to go ahead and add some of the medium to hold more of the mica powders on the clay. And now onto the bottle. I'll do the bottle the same way. And because using this transfer can smooth things out when you use your fingers, I decided against using my fingers here because I didn't want to mess up my stamp imprint on the bottle. So I'll just use the brush to put it on. Okay, just about done. And if you make a mistake and get a little bit of the medium on the glass, you can always wash that off later. It'll come right off. After it bakes, it'll come right off. Okay, so on to the flower potion bottle. I'll do the same thing. And if I do this again, I won't be doing it on a bottle that I've already created, as far as putting the resin in. I would do it before doing anything to the bottle. I would just go ahead and add the clay, bake it, and then put whatever I decide to put on the inside, whether it be resin or the glue. And so now I'm just searching through my little bucket of mica powders to figure out which colors I want to use and where. Okay, I'll start out with the pink. And you can find these at Michael's, the powders. I think it comes in a package of like 9 for around $30, but you can use your coupon and save 50% or 40% off. I normally use my coupons. And I'm just patting the powder on to give it a satin finish. Since I'm just patting, it won't mess up the script. It won't smooth it out. You'll still be able to see the stamp. Okay, it's just about done. So now I'll go ahead and add a little bit of the white. And I'm just patting around the tips of the heart. A little bit at the bottom. And that's it. It's all you have to do. Just decide on which colors you want to use and just pat it on there. And then bake it. So I'm going to fast forward onto after I baked it. And here we are. Okay, so since these two bottles had resin, I put them in my toaster oven for like 3 minutes just to get the shape of the hearts and the shape of the flowers. And then I took them off and baked them alone. Took the bottles out and I baked this bottle. So I baked the pieces in the bottle for about 15 minutes on 350, no, I'm sorry, 250 in my toaster oven. So now I'm just adding the food coloring to a little bit of this to the glue because I want my potion to be red. I want it to have a really good contrast between the pink and the red. So um, I'm just filling the bottle now with the glue. Only halfway though, just to add a little bit of the color. I didn't want to add the food coloring directly inside the bottle because I didn't want to make it too dark. Okay, so I'm just mixing it until I get a color that I really like. A little bit more of the glue and food color mixture. And the reason I add the glue to the food coloring, it makes it a whole lot easier to pick up to add to the bottle. And that's me just trying to show you the color. And I want it darker. And while mixing the glue and the food coloring, you will get bubbles. And they'll come to the top, and it takes forever sometimes for them to break, to bust. So sometimes I'll just scoop the bubbles from the top after I'm done mixing. And they come right out. You just scoop them out. So now I'm just adding some more glue. And then I'll add some more mixture to that. And that's about almost the color that I want. Okay, so my battery died. And I finished getting the color the way I wanted it. And on to the next phase, which will be gluing. I'm going to glue the hearts onto this bottle. And I'm just applying a little bit of epoxy glue. Okay, and I'll glue that there. And you decide where you want them. You could line them up or put one on there. You don't have to put four like I did. It's up to you.